The Night King is the master and leader of the White Walkers. Having existed since the age of the first men, he is the first of his race and is the commander of a mass army consisting of White Walkers and a vast majority of reanimated corpses known as wights. This is the Night King origins. Before he became the first White Walker, the Night King was one of the first men, the original human inhabitants of Westeros, and part of an ongoing invasion of the continent. He was captured by the Children of the Forest, who inhabited Westeros long before, and were under attack from the First Men. As a means of defending their race from slaughter, Leaf, one of the Children of the Forest, pressed a dragonglass dagger into the captive's chest, causing his eyes to turn blue, and turning him into the first of the White Walkers. In the beginning, the White Walkers carried out what they were created for, but, recognising their own strength, soon turned on their creators, and, led by the Night King, began what was known as the Long Night, a winter that lasted a generation. The Night King became a legendary figure, as it was 8,000 years since he or any White Walkers had been seen, while the story of the Long Night had been thought of as an old children's tale. However, the Night King was known by name among at least some noble houses in the north. The Night King first appears in a vision that Bran Stark has, when Bran communes with a weirwood heart tree. He experiences a flood of images from the past, present and future, many of which he was not physically present for. He does not comprehend what all of these images are. In retrospect, one of them is an image of the Night King picking up the last of Craster's sons off an ice altar. After Rast places Craster's final son on the ground in the haunted forest, a White Walker riding on an undead horse approaches and takes the baby, carrying it towards a shattered mountain in the lands of Always Winter. Once inside, the White Walker approaches an icy altar, ringed by large icy spikes, and places the baby upon the altar. In the distance, a group of 13 black-garbed White Walkers are revealed to be viewing the proceedings from afar. One of them breaks from the middle of their number and approaches the altar, stopping to regard the human child for a moment before gently gathering him in his arms. The baby immediately calms, staring into the face of the Night King, who has a crown of horns jutting from his head. He places his index finger upon the baby's cheek, causing the child's eyes to turn icy blue and its skin to grow pale. The Night King again appears in one of Bran Stark's visions, where he witnesses him as a human being transformed into a White Walker by the Children of the Forest. Bran explains after his vision that they had to do it because they are at war with the First Men. He then experiences a vision on his own and finds himself looking at an army of wights with the Night King and the other White Walkers behind him. The Night King senses his presence and then spots Bran, making it clear that Bran is visible to him, even in a vision. Bran wakes up screaming after the Night King suddenly appears right next to him and grabs his arm. The three-eyed raven then acknowledges that the Night King touched him, which Bran confirms when a blue handmark is seen on his forearm. The three-eyed raven informs Bran that because of that mark, the Night King now knows exactly where they are, and the cave cannot protect them anymore. The Night King and his army quickly travel to the cave, preceded by their aura of cold, a signal to the Children of the Forest and Meera Reed. The Children of the Forest prepare their scarce defences outside the cave, but are quickly overrun and they are forced to retreat back to the tunnels. The Night King sends his army of wights to attack the tunnels, and they kill most of the children and Summer, though Bran, Meera Reed and Hodor manage to escape the cavern through a back tunnel. One of the other White Walkers is killed by a dragonglass tipped spear thrown by Meera. The Night King enters the cavern and glares at the warging three-eyed raven before he kills him. The king then sends the rest of his wights to kill Leaf, and eventually Hodor, who attempts to stop the wights from going further by sacrificing himself to hold the door. While Meera drags Bran through the snow, Bran sees visions of the Night King converting Craster's last son into a White Walker, leading a massive attack on Hardhome and branding him with his mark. The Night King is shown leading his army of wights and White Walkers south, departing the lands of Always Winter and heading towards the wall at last. When Bran Stark warges into a flock of ravens, he flies them beyond the wall to spy on the army of the dead. He finds the Night King himself leading them, flanked by some of his lieutenants. When the Night King looks up, the ravens disperse and Bran is pulled out of his warding, he urges Maester Walken to send ravens across Westeros, informing the High Lords that the Night King is on the move to Eastwatch by the sea. The Night King is present when the Wights battle Jon Snow at the White Hunt, who travelled beyond the wall with a band of warriors to attempt to capture a wight to use it as proof for the gathered High Lords of Westeros. Remembering their encounter from Hardhome, the Night King keeps his gaze on Jon for some time when Daenerys Targaryen and her dragons come and attempts to rescue Jon and his group. The Night King is given an ice spear by a lieutenant of his and launches it towards Viserion, piercing the young dragon straight through the neck. Viserion crashes down to the frozen lake, sinking beneath the icy waters. The Night King keeps his gaze on the enraged Jon, who appears on the verge of calling him down to fight directly, but his lieutenant hands him another spear. The Night King throws it at Drogon this time, but the dragon takes flight and dodges it in time. The Night King later has his wights heave Viserion's corpse out of the icy water. Once that is accomplished, the Night King advances towards Viserion's corpse and places a hand on his snout, kneeling to the ground. Moments later, the corpse of Viserion is reanimated as his eyes open, now a depthless, icy blue. The mounted White Walkers lead the gathered army of the dead out of the haunted forest to the wall at last. Riding the reanimated Viserion, the Night King breaches the wall, burning it away where the Eastwatch by the Sea stands, destroying the castle and allowing the White Walkers and their White Army to invade Westeros once more, while the Night King flies overhead towards the north. Winter has certainly arrived, and the Great War has begun. That is all for today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the very first video from Game of Thrones lore. There will be plenty more Game of Thrones videos to come, so make sure you subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram at InstaDNJ. Thank you very much again for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.